I'm not sure who that is. Randall, request to join again. Try it again. Let me see if he can go on again. Because it said adding, and then it was like, no, I'm sorry. I'm so glad that the bill was signed. Yes, it was signed. So Big Daddy T, that's what I call him, Big Daddy T. You know, he waited to the last minute and did his thing like he should have. So will we get back pay from the first one? Yes. I hope you're talking about everything in this live is geared toward mixed status families. So yes, you will be getting back pay retroactive, meaning, okay, and I'm going to try to scroll up and answer all your questions. Meaning that from the first stimulus, right, it was $1,200 per adult. Remember, your I-10 spouse does not get anything, okay? So you will get retroactively $1,200 from stimulus one. And if you have children, okay, from stimulus one, they will get $500 apiece. So let's say family of four. Oh gosh, I'm really bad at math. Here we go. English teacher right here. $1,200 for me from stimulus one. Let's say I have two children, right? I'm a family of four, but my I-10 spouse doesn't count. He counts. We love him, but you get what I'm saying. 1,200. Let's say I had two kids. That's 1,000, right? So that's 2,200. Please correct me if I'm wrong. All right. Let's see. I see Randall. I'm going to try to get you again. It says adding, Randall. It says adding. I don't know why it's not letting me. Maybe it'll go through. It says connecting. Hi.
Yes.
Yay.
Okay.
Yay. So let me finish this question, and then Randall, you can jump in. That would be fabulous. But somebody was asking about retroactive. So I was just
Yes.
covering that. And my math is horrible, so please correct me if I'm wrong. But 1,200, okay, not our I-10 spouse. 500 per child. But was there a max for children for stimulus one? Can you speak a little bit on that, and then maybe do the numbers?
There was no max on the
Okay.
number of children. So
Okay.
so that's right. So
Awesome.
yeah. So if you have five children, that means you would get $2,500 for the children and $1,200 for the adult in the family with the Social Security number. Now, that's assuming all the children have Social Security numbers themselves.
Right.
That's required for them too.
But let's clarify, right? If we have two I-10 spouses, okay, children do not get anything at this point, correct? Even if they have social security
Yeah,
numbers.
if there's two I-10 spouses, then unfortunately the children with Social Security numbers don't get anything.
Okay.
Um, there, I would just say to folks in that situation that not to give up hope entirely. Um, there is a new president coming in. Uh, there, I know a lot of folks would like to push this harder. There are other groups that are actually have a
Mm-hmm.
lot more kind of backing financially than American Families United, the Mixed Status Families United,
Mm-hmm.
and um, uh, one that I've referred others to center. I know they were very, very active and pushing for children in those families too. So I would say the one thing that we've had in really good abundance is people coming forward with their stories and speaking in meetings. And I'm not sure
Yeah.
if that is the case for families that where neither parent has a social security number, but the children do. Um,
I see.
and and so if you're one of the people in those situations, I'd say reach out to NILC uh, and 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 ask them if you can help move that along because I don't think they've given up and and there there are expected to be further stimulus bills that come out.
Okay.
So yeah. So that's my advice to folks. And then also there's the Mission Asset Fund, which has helped a lot of families already, and I think would if I know it right would help people who both parents in that situation might be able to help them both, and that's
Yes.
a nonprofit that's helped a lot of people out.
Awesome. I was trying to go through here. There's like a ton of comments. I don't know if you can see the comments at the bottom too, Randall. Can you see all those?
I can if I go to my computer too. And apologies everyone. I didn't have Facebook on my phone, but
We love
so
technology around here.
so
Um,
I could see the comments there, but
okay,
yeah, on the
let me.
computer, but
That's what I was trying to do. I'm going to go through here, and that's why I'm looking over like this and read some of the questions if
sure.
you don't mind.
Yeah.
They want to know about. Let me go through here. 16 and under are included. Under 17, correct?
Yeah, I mean, yes, as long as they're dependents. I mean, the, they would all be on the same return with you. So it's basically if they're in your return for a family, if again the key criteria here that was used in the bill was if you have a social security number or not. So
Right. Okay.
so the kids would have to be on there, and the important thing is for folks to know too, you'd have to have filed either in uh, 2019 or 2018 to get this payment. So if you haven't,
So yes.
uh,
What do they do if they have not or they did not?
if you haven't filed for any of those years, I'd say go to the IRS. They have free software for you to file,
Okay.
and make sure that you file um, like right away because there's only a few days left in the year, and there are, and I'm not clear on all the details with this, but there is kind of there is a date in there of December 31st where they say that they won't be doing payments after that, or that might be the advance payments.
Right.
Um, on the technical level, too, for uh, you on the technical level too, these were an advance payment uh, to your 2020 taxes.
Right.
But there was a date in there of December 31st, 2020. If and I apologize, that's getting more into like a
Yeah.
discussion of how it works, but yeah, the bottom line is to qualify for this, you do have to file your taxes. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and and uh, or at least I think so. I did read something just recently about how the IRS for the first check for the CARES Act had a way for people to claim online.
Yeah,
But
and I would assume, like, I know that after the first stimulus, and I'm sure I can't see why they wouldn't. The IRS wouldn't have a check your status again. And I was telling
yeah,
people earlier that you might want to go on there as soon as that comes out and
yeah,
put your information in. And maybe you weren't like me. I wasn't signed up for direct deposit, you know? And so I was in there trying to do that before I realized that, oh, wait, I'm excluded or whatever. But
yeah,
you
yeah,
should be able to put your direct deposit information right on the IRS website if they do the check your status again. So just make sure that you do
yeah,
that. And if it's like the first time, if you did like Randall, like you're saying, if you did your 2018 or 2019 taxes and you were already set up for direct deposit, like you should be good to go. There shouldn't be anything extra. A lot of people are concerned like I'm going to miss it. There's something extra, and I don't
yeah,
think that's the
yeah.
case.
Yeah, that's right. There's no
Yeah,
to my knowledge there's no extra step.
yeah,
But but you know we'll be in touch with the people who
yeah,
champion this. There was some public statements by uh, Senator Rubio's office. That's an office that we've been working with really closely throughout this. I mean, and just to give a
yeah,
little background too, I mean, we've been talking to senators and representatives ever since this happened, and even before the first bill was passed into law. And just for people to know, the same exclusion dates back to 2008, and
yes,
and I worked on it with American Families United at that time, and that exclusion that's there for military families came out of that effort. Um, it's unfortunate it didn't go further. At the time, though, we were partnering with the U.S. Association of the U.S. Army, and the people who came forward and made noise about it were people who were in the Army. This time, uh, it was people who were, um, just everybody got involved, and it's
yeah,
a real tribute to making yourselves heard, to telling your stories. That's what makes this happen,
yes.
and you know, That's,
Oh,
you know,
that
so
is so true.
yeah, everybody listening, you know, this happened because you
Hmm.
told your stories.
Yeah.
It and it happened with constituents talking to people. That's where we um, have really been happy with this, with the big, you know, uprising of support, or up maybe, or uh, it's not quite the right word, but but it's a little too far. But with the energy, the energy
Yes,
that
yes.
we've seen.
Yeah. And I think, going back to our mission, Randall, like we as families, we have just said, no more shadows. Like we're not gonna live behind that anymore. And that's why
Yeah,
we're so glad to finally be partnering with you all. But we have some really strong families. I don't know if you got a chance to see like everybody's picture. Like nobody's hiding in the dark anymore. We're not gonna close the door. We're not gonna lay down. We're not gonna give up. And we're gonna
yeah,
fight. And you know what? After this, guys, we're going, give me an amen. Give me a heck yeah. Give me a hell yeah. We're going to the next thing. We're going to that
yeah,
10-year ban. We're going to the next thing after that. Like, we're just not going to
yeah,
sit down. We're not going to shut up anymore. And we're going to do what's right for families. And I think people have this notion it's like, people come over and they're rapists and they're drug addicts and they don't have kids and they're not human beings and they're illegal. They don't understand humans can't be illegal, right? Like, we have families, we're normal people, we have normal jobs, we're teachers and nurses and all kinds of stuff. And so I think people are just done being quiet. And I'm going to be honest, I think 2008 people were just quiet. And that's why, it's like you said before, the part about active military getting in there, right? Like people were
mhm,
loud. And I think we finally just put our foot down and we're not going to have any more of that. And it's not okay the way that we're treated and how immigrants are treated. So I think a lot of people are just like tired. We're just tired, and we're going
yeah,
to, we're going to,
yeah.
I've been telling them, 2021 is our year and we are going to hold Biden and Harris to their promises and continue to fight, right? Like this is a marathon. That's
Yeah.
what I keep telling the members too. It's like this is a marathon. People are so discouraged when one thing happens or like, oh no, he didn't sign or whatever. It's not a sprint, right? Like we have to take the little wins and the failures. What do we learn from those, and how can we push forward? And I just think there's so much hope and there's so much grace, and people are gonna do, the louder the voice, the louder you're going to get noticed. That's just how life works. But we're going to do
Well,
right by
and
families. We're really excited.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I want to tell you, you know, being loud eh, is is it's not a, you know, when American Families United got started, and just to let you know, we got started in really at the end of 2005. There was a really awful bill that passed in the House of Representatives at the time, right about this time of year, that would have made anybody whose status was unclear even
Mm-hmm.
into an aggravated felon, along with their spouses too. And anyone in their church, whoever, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they did anything with, they'd all have been felons too. It created a huge uh, backlash. We were among the people organizing rallies. We had 2 million people working with all these different groups out on the street on the same day across the country. Um, so that was really making
Yeah.
noise. But what we learned out of that was um, it's about more than that. It's about
Yeah.
going to talk to the senators and the representatives individually and talking about the real specific problem that you've got,
Mm-hmm.
and then have a real specific ask. And, you know, in this go round, um, you know, we've been in touch with Senator McConnell's office. They're the ones who put us in touch with Senator Rubio's office. We've been in touch, you know, with Senator Cassidy, another
Yeah.
Republican from Louisiana, was a huge champion in this behind the scenes. We had, you know, people came along to meetings, talked to his staff. On the Democratic side, uh, so many people were working on this,
Yes.
but you know, like Senator Schumer spoke very publicly about this. Senator Cortez Masto from Nevada, her office was working on this very hard. Senator Menendez has been a champion on these issues for a really long time, um, from New Jersey, and there's a lot more. Those are
Yeah.
just some that are coming to mind, but anyone can get involved in
Yes.
doing that. And you know, I'm going to share, if folks haven't seen it already, a little over a week ago, we had an interview with Congresswoman Veronica Escobar, where a few families from American Families United are sharing their stories with her. and talking about the American Families United Act, which, if you don't know what that does, it really gets to the heart of this. You know, there's a 10-year bans or permanent bans for for administrative issues, you
Hmm.
know, and that's really a key thing. We're talking about non-compliance with administrative issues. These are not criminal activities that we're talking
Right.
about.
Correct.
Um, and you know, companies don't comply with things all the time. They don't get banned
Hmm.
from doing business for eternity.
Right.
You
They
know,
might get
that's
a
not how.
fine, or they might get, okay, you have to do X, Y, and Z. But
Yes, yeah,
a
that's
permanent
typical.
ban for administrative, it
Right.
just is, it, to me, it's discrimination. It's something
It's
more.
it's very arbitrary. It's very
Right.
arbitrary. And
Right.
what the American Families United Act does is it gives people a fighting chance for family unity in the United States. And
Yeah.
we're thrilled. You know, it was Congresswoman Woodall. It's always been a bipartisan bill. Congressman Woodall, who unfortunately is retiring, a Republican congressman from the Atlanta, Georgia area, was the lead sponsor on the Republican side. Congresswoman Veronica Escobar from El Paso, Texas, was the lead sponsor on this, joined by Congressman Darrell Soto of the kind of Tampa area. So, but these, you know, uh, and you can hear her talk about it. She's Congresswoman Veronica Escobar. We've reached out, or in the process of reaching out to the others too. Um, but she is so important. She is not only is she a former judge herself, gives her real authority in speaking on this kind of due process issues. You know, you'll hear her say, you know, this is why we have juries, this is why we have judges,
Right.
this is what process is to give people a fighting chance.
So,
And but she's on the committee that actually makes the decision whether a bill gets voted on or not. And she outlined some really exciting things that are like, you know, I'd love for everyone to hear about. But
yes, I
that's
would
a,
love that. Would be awesome to hear that. I have a ton of questions coming
okay,
in,
sorry.
and I'm sure people are like, but you're giving such great information. That's awesome, and I would love to hear from her. If you said you're going to post that.
Yeah, I'll post that.
Okay. So a question that I didn't even think to ask, but a lot of people are asking, um, they want to know if Big Daddy T, that's what I call him, Big Daddy T, can take us out tomorrow in his so-called redlining. Can he still somehow? I didn't think that was even a question. Take us out last minute before
No.
he actually signs. Is that any type of possibility?
All the reports are that it's signed. It's law. So
Okay.
it's done.
Okay.
It's done. He in his speech, I remember there were three things that I remember him talking about. One of the things he was opposed to was us
Right. Right.
having equal treatment, and talked about U.S. citizens as illegal immigrants, which was crazy. You know, that's flat out wrong and insulting to any U.S. citizen. Uh, and two, foreign aid. Um, this is an appropriations bill. Foreign aid is always part of American spending, and it's not something, you know, organizationally, American Families United Act, American Families United takes a position on, but you know, there are a lot of people in developing countries we know because we've married people to different countries, um, where literally kids are starving because they can't get
Yeah.
enough food to eat. And that's what foreign aid is going to right now. And the third thing was to increase the amount of in the checks, which um, uh, personally I'd be really happy to see. Um, People have
Yeah.
different opinions on that, but you can weigh in on that. There's a bill that's going to come to a vote on the floor of the House tomorrow, and that bill is um, will include our families the same way, you know. So
Okay.
families, U.S. citizens who married somebody from another country. They don't have a social security number yet. They're still included.
Okay. Awesome. A couple more questions. I'm over here typing. Sorry if I keep looking away. I am listening too. But thank you all for sticking with us, members. We have questions about child support and back taxes. Are they going to receive this, or will it be taken out for child support or back taxes?
And
Do you know?
unfortunately, that's going a little bit beyond
Okay.
uh, what I know. It's more that's yeah.
Yeah.
All I know is that you'd get the credit. So if it does come out somehow that way, it would go to you'd get credit for it one way or the
Okay.
other. So it's a
Okay.
benefit. No matter what, it's a benefit to you.
Yes, it's not going to be a detriment to you in any way. Um,
Right, right.
we have a lot of people. Let me throw this out there. It's a little off topic. We have a lot of people asking questions about the ban. I know we talked some about that.
Yeah,
But let me also say this: there's a lot of people asking pretty specific questions about your case. There is Immigration Alley, which we are associated with Jennifer Walker Gates, and she does answer a lot of general questions or things like that, point you in the right direction. So whoever is interested in, I know she does lives, or she used to do. I think she does every week. Like she answers a lot of questions. She's so great. I would say she's one of the better ones in the country. Like she handles cases all over the country. So if you do have specific questions, I honestly think honestly, I feel like the more we are isolated and let things go and don't ask questions is kind of like what they kind of want. Like we need to ask questions. We need to know, is my spouse banned? There might be some logistic in there where maybe they're not really. Like seek legal guidance if you can. Ask questions. If there's places like Immigration Alley or other places, maybe Randall, if you want to point people in the right direction, but don't just go through life being like, you know what, I can't ask questions because, like, always ask the questions. Find somebody to help you because it could change your life. Um,
yeah,
do you want to speak on
yeah.
that at
No,
all or give any advice
yeah,
there? I know
no,
there's a lot of families.
that's really good advice. But I can tell you, yeah, that's really good advice. You should be talking to a reputable lawyer. A hard thing is to know who is reputable. But there's and they're you want to know the bottom line is you want to know that somebody you're dealing with has handled these types of cases before. I'll tell you where people get caught a lot though, and this comes from stories of people who've dealt with lawyers who aren't experts in it, um, and just stories that sometimes they're and just things they may not know about.
Yeah.
Um, so a real typical scenario is somebody who had entered the United States at some point, um, or attempted to enter, um, and then entered later, basically where there's some kind of issue immigration wise, and then there was a second entry after that.
Okay.
That's that's a bar that people sometimes miss, um, and that is a permanent bar. People talk about it as a 10-year bar, which
Right.
is which is actually different. There's and for many people they get in addition to this, but that entry, a second, an entry after a previous immigration issue is a permanent bar,
Permanent.
and right now people can apply for what's called permission to reapply, and then can apply for a waiver of inadmissibility together after 10 years have passed. That's 10 years outside of the country, not 10 years since from when it happened. So that means if you're a US citizen, you've got to live outside the country or be separated for 10 years if you're in that situation. So what the American Families United Act would do in that situation would be allow you to go before a judge or somebody in the Department of State, so someone you'd be dealing with to apply for a waiver of inadmissibility right away.
Hmm.
Um, and the other situation that a lot of people really get hit with is if there is a claim that your spouse said they were a citizen when they were not.
Mm.
And these, can come about and really, um, the stories I've heard are they're really pretty innocent sometimes, like somebody married somebody, like there's a former um, U.S. Army medic, a veteran, who I was in a call with out of Texas. He is now a ER nurse treating COVID patients in the United States. He's also a licensed doctor in Mexico. He's splitting his time going back and forth.
Wow.
Um, his wife, who runs her own business there, um, before they met each other, when she was really young, she was on the Mexican side, had some friends who were American citizens. Uh, they were out drinking. She wasn't in her, she wasn't in the right state of mind. She had quite a bit to drink, and they all just went over the border. They said, "Oh, well, let's go continue drinking on the other side. Like there's a bar we want to go over there." And
Okay.
they were just with her and said, "Oh, she's an American too. Like she's with us."
Oh,
She was just intending to go, go out with them. And they asked her, and she said, "No, I'm not." She was honest with them, but they said, "Oh no, you've now you're now
right.
subject to the bar." That's a bar for life, um, and
Yeah.
and there's no waiver.
Right.
So here you have somebody who's served the United States, who's done this, and his wife has done this. I mean, even I mean, you don't want to see that happen as a matter of policy, but
Yeah.
there needs to be some kind of process here. There needs to be a way for families like theirs to be heard and to say, listen, the facts of this case don't warrant what's going on.
Yeah.
This doesn't make any sense. And to most
Right.
people, when they hear it, wouldn't make any sense. And it's a lot of people. So for everybody watching, those are the two kinds of things that we see all the time with folks. The other thing, and um, recently there have been some things that have come up. There's that whole public charge thing.
Right. Right.
That's an issue now. We spoke out against that when that regulation came in. Um, there's also this is something new that people have been accused of smuggling if they came in with their brother or sister when they were really young.
Yep.
Um,
And I think
and
correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's okay if it's like you came in with spouse or mom and dad or child. But if you come in with like brother, sister or something, and I could be completely wrong, then now they're calling it alien smuggling. Is the term. And so
I know people. I know someone who had a case like this, and what's bad is the other thing for people to know if you're
horrible.
going through this, if you're going through this immigration situation, like we weighed in when they introduced the I-601A process. That's a form you can do. That's the waiver of inadmissibility. You can apply for that in what people correctly talk about as the 3 and 10 year bars. That's for unauthorized presence for
Right.
up to 6 months is a 3 year bar. A year or 6 months or more, sorry, is a 3 year bar. 12 months or more is a 10 year bar on entry. But in that case, you can apply for a waiver of admissibility right now. Um, and that I-601A process allows you to do that within the United States. So you can apply from within the United States, knowing that if you get it, you can come back. But what's happened is this has been turned into a kind of a trap, because if you've
Right.
got any other inadmissibility, they won't tell you. They'll
Nope.
tell you, yeah, you're approved to for the I-601A, and then you leave, and then you're on your way back. And that's like what happened in
Yeah.
the situation I know with that smuggling charge. So somebody already had this approved, they leave, and then they're saying, oh, you're with your brother who was at the time, and
Right.
therefore you're a smuggler, which is not at all the intent of the
Right.
law. That's how it's been put into place recently. So just a few things
I didn't
to know
realize,
about.
Randall, that they didn't have to tell you. Like I know that there's several different FOIAs you can fill out for information. I didn't realize that they didn't tell you. So can you? I know
No,
that people are asking questions now about that, probably terrified.
yeah, yeah.
Can
Well,
you
they should be.
elaborate
Yeah.
a little bit on that?
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, and this is where you really want to talk to a lawyer, a
Right.
reputable lawyer. This gets into
Right.
really fact specific things. I'm just kind of relaying
Yes.
stories I know from members, not as a lawyer, but
Yes, let's
I
put
know
that
these things are
clause.
true.
We are
Yeah,
not lawyers. We're going to tag at Jennifer Walker Gates and have you all go over to
yeah,
Immigration Alley to ask those specific
yeah,
questions.
yeah. And there's there's a lot of good immigration lawyers and out there, and Jennifer's definitely one of them. So
Yeah.
um, you can but it is really important to know that there are these things out there that trip people up on a regular basis that we've seen, so that you have some idea of what you want to be talking to a lawyer about, or if there's some kind of scenario that you're hearing about that other people have gone through, that hey, I should be listening to this. And some of these things people really get taken by surprise by. They don't even know something has happened. Like one of our members, his wife, she worked for a fast food restaurant, and
Yeah.
her manager filled out, that form. It's an I-9 form, or where you fill in your name and social security number, say if you're a citizen or not. Well, managers just did it for her, which is they're not supposed to do, and sent it in, and the they ICE saw that, and they used that to send her out of the country and deport her and say she had a bar for life. And the people who looked into it further within the government thought that was clearly not her signature. That's the story I heard, but
Yeah. We have
people
several people
separated.
commenting right now, actually, too,
Yeah.
saying that that has happened to them. Christy's talking about how that happened to her.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying, several people are saying, that has happened to them. So yeah, definitely seek that. And I know this is running really long. I'm sorry, people, but I hope you don't mind, Randall, but I wanted to lighten the mood just a little bit
Yeah.
before we leave, because we get real intense about it because we're so passionate. It's our family, it's our life, right? So, but I do want to end by saying a little bit about what has happened tonight, because I am a firm believer in take the small victories really passionately. Like, we need to relish in this moment, because it is because of things that we are doing in this group and others like us and other nonprofits like American Families, all right, and ABIC and other ones and all over the country, right, are the reason why these things, and the senators, and the people Randall was talking about. And if you do get a chance, I've been calling senators and people thanking them. I've just been leaving messages
Yeah.
and saying,
Please do.
thank you. Thank you, Marco Rubio. Thank you to those people that I know really pushed for whatever reason. I don't care their reason, doesn't matter. But they pushed for it, right? And it's because they heard our stories and they heard the things that essentially made this possible. So I really just want us all to just relish in this moment, because it's a beautiful thing, right? Just like, the things that came out of 2008 with the inclusion of active military, um, things like that. So if anybody, and Randall, I don't know if you want to end with something. I'm looking at some last minute things. Do we get the stimulus as a check direct deposit or as a credit on 2020 taxes? I think we already hit this. Randall, can you answer that question one more time?
Well, yeah, it depends too if you gave if you included your bank account.
Right.
Um, the big thing is, if you filed your taxes in the past and you included your bank account, then the normal process is that you will just get a deposit. And um, and as of 2 weeks ago, before this was delayed,
Okay.
the commitment from the Secretary of the Treasury was to have those payments go out this week. So I don't know if next week that would happen,
Yeah.
but and I'm sure there'll be questions that come out. But
Yeah.
the important thing is, if you're a citizen with a social security number, you should be getting it. There have been problems for different reasons, kind of operationally, where checks have been delayed with the
Mm-hmm.
first go round. Hopefully, there's a bit of better process, but you know, you know, that's when your congressman, your senator can get involved and can help you through the process because you should get it. So
Right.
that's the key thing. Also, accountants can help you with that as well. So, you're
Yes.
just getting into the kind of normal thing where you don't have to fight for it. You're just kind of going through the process, but help is on the way. That's the key
Yes.
thing.
And a lot of people are still asking, trying to confirm that they're talking about the first stimulus. So I just want to reiterate one more time for
Yeah.
everyone. If you filed 2018, 2019 taxes and your bank account information is on file with the IRS, you will get first stimulus and second stimulus through direct deposit. Correct, Randall? I just want to make
That's
sure
right.
it's real plain text because people are still worried about stimulus one. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
our
yeah,
understanding.
that's what makes it such a big victory because going into this, we didn't know how it would turn out. We were hearing that it was in the mix a few days
Right.
before, I mean, just a couple days before it was finally negotiated. And that was, as much detail. Then we started hearing, looks like we'll get the first one, and then the final bill came out, and we were just thrilled because it was
Mm-hmm.
both, you know.
Yeah.
And you say a small victory. I mean, for individually, this is how you'd figure out what you will be getting. It's $1,200 for the first one for each adult with the Social Security number plus 500 per child. And then for the second one, it's 600 for each adult and each child with a Social Security number. So if you're a family of four, that works out to, you know, 1,200 for the adult for the first one, another 1,000 for the two kids, so
Mm-hmm.
2,200 there, plus 1,800 for the 600 times three, so $4,000
Yeah.
for a family of four.
So
That's
family of
what's
four, 4,000.
so whether
Family of four.
yeah, so whether that's one payment or two, um, not certain, but that's what you should be figuring out. That's what you should be, and that's what's going to be coming your way in the near future. And it's not, I mean, and it's a big win as a group
That's
because
true. That's true.
this is about, just from an immigration standpoint, I've run the numbers, and put together estimates for American Families United about this is like 1.9 million people who have been separated or face a specter of separation. Most of those people are in this situation. Some maybe have a social security number for some other reason. Maybe they're married to somebody who's got a protection from DACA or from TPS at one point. But there's also all these people who are outside the country who never applied in the first
Right.
place.
Yeah.
Uh, and there's another group, there's another whole group too, and this is another group that was involved in some of the lobbying too. That's U.S. citizens who live abroad who marry somebody, and they're not thinking of immigrating or weren't thinking of immigrating when they filed their taxes last,
Right.
and they're included in that too.
Right.
So it's a it's a it's a it's this is so just estimating on the immigration numbers, figuring the other stuff kind of balance out. This is like $5.8 billion.
Okay, you're gonna have to
That's
say that again because we got to say it
yeah,
slow sometime for us people in Tennessee. So I know that other people, we got to slow it down, right? And when I say little victory, I only say that because I'm a big thinker and I know we're going big. But
yeah.
let's like say those numbers again because it is such a huge win. It is. We're talking about millions of families. Would we say
Millions of families. Yeah,
millions
near
of families,
millions of families.
billions of dollars. So if you
Yeah.
can't scream at your house right now, I can't because I was sleeping 41. But if you can
Yes.
scream at your house right now, guys, all 41 of you, or however many people are watching, you should do it because not only are you getting the checks, but you're basically helping people get checks, millions of people that maybe aren't involved in any of these groups or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever reason. We're fighting for them too. So it's
Yeah.
just like such a ripple effect. It's so amazing how things work, and it's really proven to me, as well as I know all the other admins who are just we're just normal people, just like you, right? Like just trying to save the world. You know what I'm saying? It just means so much to us because it basically proves, and I hope that this speaks to you all too that are watching. It proves that one person really can be a voice. It's like Randall was saying earlier. You can be loud as well. That's great. We like to be loud, but also, asking the questions, having the meetings, going to talk to senators, like asking specific things, getting specific things done is really important too. So it really has showed me, I when I joined this group, I was just a member many months ago, several months ago. Had no idea I would be like an admin owning this group, right? Or being part of such an amazing thing. But it was just such a beacon of hope. Like, we can do something. We don't have to sit down and do nothing. And one person can make a difference, and then another one person, and then another. And I hope that this has shown that to our members watching, that you're not just a pawn in a game. Like, you're a person with a family, and your voice is important. Your voice is so important. So, any last words, Randall? And we're just gonna. A lot of people are saying thank you, and it really means a lot to their families. Do you want to just leave
Well,
them?
thank you for speaking up. And just to add to this, it doesn't take you, it you personally can make a huge difference. I just want to talk about our meetings with Senator McConnell to give you an example of this. Melina was on a call, who's she's in this group, I believe, and
Mm-hmm.
she's part of American Families United. She was on a call with me back in June. She got in touch. It was hard to get through with COVID, getting in touch with somebody, but she finally got through. The local office and to somebody in DC, and it was just her as a constituent speaking to Senator McConnell's office. And then they put us in touch with Senator Rubio's office. Then at the very end, we had another call, and we met with what we learned later from news reports were the individual aides who were writing it at the time. They couldn't tell us anything as they
Wow.
were doing it, other than it's in the mix. But,
Wow.
I mean, one person, and at minimum, what she did was to get this at the top of their minds. There was also a technical issue with the bill as it had been originally introduced that Senator Rubio sent a fix around for. I got to talk to that. Just mentioned it. They understood what the issue was, what the fix was, but it's
Yeah.
like, who knows? Maybe that is what did it.
Yeah.
Maybe they were just like, oh, well, let's go through after the meeting and just check that off and make sure it's there. Um,
Yeah.
and and you know that you know just that example I was talking about, that real technical thing, it would have made a difference where people only would have been included if their income together with their spouse was $75,000 instead of $150,000. It was like
Right.
they took the spouse out completely first and then accidentally
Yeah.
took them out again. But that would have meant like probably three-quarters of the people wouldn't have got it.
Right.
Like if we didn't point out that little thing. So this is like what the meetings are. You can have such a powerful impact, just one person.
Yeah.
And uh, so I am hopeful that you all take this, celebrate it. You all deserve a huge pat on the back for everything you've done, and
Mm-hmm.
stay involved. There are more
Mwah,
good things
mwah.
coming. You know, stay
Um.
involved and keep being part of this, and
Yeah.
not just in this issue, but just keep being a part of democracy, because it's
Yeah.
and the one thing I've learned over the years is that um, you always have to give somebody the chance uh, to 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 do the right thing, and
Right.
you never know until you talk to somebody where they're going to come down on an issue. Um, and your stories really make a difference for them to
Yes.
see it, because a lot of what we have right now is, people talking to each other over Twitter, or, you know, things in the news where it's just,
Yeah.
it's not a real conversation, and
Right.
people don't get a, a real picture of of what the issues are, how they're impacting them, and you'd be surprised how often people come to the same conclusion, to do the right thing when they actually just sit down and talk to somebody, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh,
And none of
that's so powerful.
Yeah, yeah, and none of these people when they're talking to us, none of them are, it's not like we're making $1 million campaign contributions behind the scenes or anything. They're just normal people. And they
Oh
got
my.
elected. Yeah, and they got elected because they care about representing people. They might be coming with one bent or another, ideologically, but when people sit down and they listen, you
Yeah.
know, people
People are
people and
people.
people are people, and even if they don't agree with you 100%, they're if you can sit down and just explain where you're coming from,
Right.
they'll they'll maybe try to work in a way to lessen the impact for you if they can't support you 100%.
Hmm.
They'll try to and they'll remember you. They'll
Yeah.
remember you.
Yeah.
That's
Um, that's wow. That's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna answer these last couple of questions, and then we're gonna call it a night. Been a long day, and we're all exhausted. And we're all gonna go celebrate. So, Cindy, I'm gonna try to answer your question. She says, if my husband has an I-10, he reports taxes, but I'm not working, so I'm his dependent. Am I gonna qualify? I'm gonna say no. Adult dependents, correct, Randall? They're not qualifying this time. Only last time, correct? Is that
it,
correct? Adult dependents?
adult dependence.
Yeah.
You will. Uh, I'm not sure how that would come about,
Okay.
because when you're filing taxes for yourself, there's three ways to file, which is uh, married filing separately, head of household, or married filing jointly.
Right.
And if your husband has a does not have a social security number, they don't have the option of filing head of household.
Right.
As far as I know, that's only on a return for somebody with a social security number. So so I'm not quite clear on what that means, but as long as the citizen with the social security number, or green card holder, if you're a social security number holder, if you file a 1040, a regular return, and you file either jointly with your spouse, separately, or head of household, you'll get the credit. And you would have gotten it already if you were a household or married filing separately. So
Okay.
so so we should really
Yeah.
only be talking. Yeah, I
Okay.
would think we're only talking about married filing jointly. I hope
Yes.
that helps.
Yes. And then I would like to ask you, Randall, how can our members, because I know a lot of people are going to be watching this after the live, how can they get involved? Once again, I know you've been advocating a lot in the group, but I really just want to put this out there as the last thing we say. How can they, A, get involved with American families and also get involved with the bill, which is so important? Can you talk a little bit about that? And then we're going to call it a night.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's real easy. They can go to AmericanFamiliesUnited.org, and there's a petition. The first thing they'll see is a petition saying it's time to pass the American Families United Act. Uh, you sign that. It does both at the same time. It gets you in our database of supporters, and it's a petition that we can take to support the passage of the bill. If you can spread that around to your friends, if you know other people on Facebook, get them to sign too. We've already got, uh, it's around 1,500 people have signed on,
Nice.
but it would be nice to do something like DACA, where there's several 100,000. That's how much they've got to support DACA. So certainly got the numbers of people to do it. Um, and
Yeah.
that would be a great place to start, great place to start. So thanks for asking.
You're so welcome, and and we hope to grow, and we hope to continue to work with you guys, American families. You're awesome, but we hope you all have a good night. Again, I'm Jacqueline Solano. I'm one of the admin here. This is Randell Emery, and we are going to sign off. And if you have further questions, go ask those, PM us, whatever you need to do, and please share our message. Tell people to go to American Families United. Tell people to come to our group, because this is where we're going to create community. This is where we're going to share. This is where we're going to voice our stories and come together as that community. We love you all. And yes, my kisses were to the members. Mwah. Okay. Love you all. And we will see you in our next live update. Bye for now. Bye, guys.
Bye bye, everyone.